Hey guys, welcome to Now That's Debatable. Today we have YouTuber Ultimated Judeo Christian joining us on the chat. We're going to be talking about biblical cosmogony, and probably touching on a few other areas as well. But first of all, I wanted to thank you for coming on. And if you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your beliefs, we are live. We have chat up on the screen if you guys have any questions, if you have any comments. And we're going to be doing a little bit of an audio test just because last time at the beginning they could not hear me, but we're also going to be sharing it. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself, YouTuber, and we'll get you started.
You sound clear on the YouTube, by the way. Just let you know.
This is YouTuber Ultimated Judeo Christian tautologist for God's revealed best love kin / ultimated philosopher. If you want to verify my identity of being God's best love kin, then just ask God and he may reveal to you through special revelation or his eternal power. Said information. I'm here to, in words, prove the Bible / cosmogony, etc.
Hey, Judeo Christian. 1 second. Like at the beginning, what was that thing you asked us to if we could verify? What did you mean?
If you want to verify my identity of being God's best love kin, then ask God. Pray to God.
Did you say
okay?
Lovekin? Lovekin?
Hello, can you say that again?
Did you say the words Lovekin? Lovekin?
Love kin, yes. Loved kin.
Okay, gotcha. Just making sure.
Okay. What does that mean? Just like curiosity. I mean, I didn't bring you on to talk about this, so I was just curious what that means. Lovekin.
I'm God's favorite child.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Interesting. All right. So that just caught me off guard. I'm sorry. Judeo Christian. I wasn't even familiar with the term biblical cosmogony. Could you break this down for us and tell us what exactly you mean by that and what that means?
The origin of the universe. So I was going off your email.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah. So because I saw a debate in it, and they have that in the title, cosmogony, and so this is it more like a metaphysical type of study or like
yes,
this is more empirical? Like for instance, like if we talk about the Big Bang, would you consider that within the realm of cosmogony, or is it more metaphysical than that?
It's more metaphysical than that.
Gotcha.
In regards to Genesis 1:1.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So tell us your view, how the universe got here, and also when we say universe, are you talking about all of existence, or are you talking about just a local presentation of space-time?
All physical matter. So Genesis 1:1 would be my argument for biblical cosmogony.
Okay, so you're taking like the literal interpretation of that. So like
yes.
As in like there's this cosmic being who utters magic words and then pow, universe.
Well, not necessarily magic words.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to straw man, but like he says, "Let there be stuff," and then stuff comes into existence, right?
Yes, because to be eternal requires all powerfulness. All powerfulness is synonymous with all knowingness. Thus, God can do anything.
Okay. So why think God caused the universe?
To have a relationship with people, and he foresaw the sin of first man and woman, so he created the universe in such a way to where it accounts for the sinful nature of man.
Okay, so I mean, it's like, I mean, as far as, I'm not asking like for the purpose. I'm asking like, why do you think God created the universe? Like, asking like not the purpose. Why do you think a God is necessary to create the universe?
I think you're asking
go ahead.
I think you asked a contradictory question, because I know God created the universe for the aforestated reasons.
Okay, so let's say you know it. How do you know that?
Divine revelation.
And do you
Okay,
get this divine
is there-
revelation specifically from the Bible?
Not just the Bible,
But God speaks
God's
to you directly?
God's self-disclosure of himself being the ultimate creator of creation,
So does he speak
and
to you
special
directly?
revelation of the Bible.
Okay.
Is there any sort of like evidence other than the Bible? Like, is there any sort of evidence that I could look at? Because like, I mean, I don't think the Bible's a very good source. Not even just because of the contradictions, but like I'm talking about just a book says a thing. That doesn't mean the thing is true. Like, is there any sort of logical reason, so any sort of empirical reason, any sort of evidence that I could examine and say this is indicative of God creating the universe?
Yes, God's invisible attributes, as he has revealed himself to be ultimate. So, defaultly singular, with free will, the ability to function internally without external forces. Therefore, a mind created. You can't have co-eternal particulars.
So
Um,
let me ask a question. I'm gonna try to go back to this so we don't get too far away from it if I can. Does God speak to you directly? Like, do you feel a presence or hear a voice or even have a feeling or you know anything along that lines? As you know, I've heard people say, you know, they feel the pull of God's power, or they heard the voice of God in their head, or they feel that God's directing their heart. Is that an actual? Do you think that's an actual occurrence that you experience, in the sense that like your God, the deity that you worship, directly speaks to you? Kind of like you and I are having a conversation now, except on a God to you scale.
Not necessarily. We haven't had a direct conversation, but God right now is touching the left side of my head, so I can feel supernatural presence. This has been going on for years, and it can go on all day.
So
And that's just
let me ask you,
one
how do
of
you know
many
that God is
personal
touching the left side of your head right
testimonies.
now?
I couldn't catch that.
So how would I be able to determine, or how do you know that it's God that's touching the left side of your head, right?
Because of my love towards God. God wouldn't deceive me or string me along, as that contradicts his truthful lovingness.
Okay, but so far it seems that you say that like God is speaking to you, but if God's telling you all these things, how do you know that God is honest? Like, God could just be lying, and you wouldn't know any better. And God could say that my nature isn't to lie to you, and if you just accept it as true, then you know, like my question is ultimately, like, for instance, I don't want to beat a dead horse, because I've had a conversation with someone before that said God speaks to them, and not necessarily, you know, in a verbal, auditory sense, but we had a guy that come on, and I mentioned Son of Sam, aka David Berkowitz, who claimed that his neighbor's dog was speaking to him. How do I know, or how would I determine that David Berkowitz's neighbor's dog isn't God? If it can speak to people, or if someone is genuinely claiming that they're getting information from this other worldly, or even if they're claiming that it's a worldly thing, how would I be able to determine that? Because, I mean, obviously you're probably a pretty intelligent guy. You know that many people have claimed many gods over the centuries and millennia, and many of them have claimed to hear voices or directions from deities throughout that millennia. So my question is, how do we determine what that is, if anything other than self-delusion, and B, how will we determine it's a god, and then C, how do we determine that God is telling us truth?
Well, firstly, God is not a liar, as that
How do you know that?
contradicts his loving nature.
But how
And
do you
I
know
know
Sure, but like God doesn't have to be lying. We're asking like how would you know that the information that you think you're receiving is accurate?
Also, I mean,
as
I'm
I
not even going to go as
stated,
far to say that God doesn't lie. I want to know how you know God doesn't lie.
Well, yes, good point.
Because if God's telling you he doesn't lie, then what if I tell you I never lie? What's
Right.
the difference? Except one is that I'm actually an observable person, and your God doesn't seem to have any observable attributes that I've noticed.
there's a lot of points here. I'm getting gish-gallop philosophically.
Okay, so sorry. But focus on what Facade said. Like, how would you know that God doesn't lie?
Because his nature is love. So
Okay, how do you know that his nature is love?
God, because of his attribute set
Okay,
of
but
being
where do you get
ultimate
his
perfection.
attributes from? Like, I'm trying to get to the end of the road here. Where are you getting this information from? You can keep
Divine
moving
revelation.
the goalpost further and further along, but I want to know where do you get God's attributes from?
But he said
Is it
like through
direct
the divine
revelation?
revelation. So you have some sort of special communication channel with God, right?
Not just that, but through his general revelation of himself to everybody.
Sure.
Of
So
being,
everybody has general revelation, but you have a special communication channel that where you know that the information you're getting is correct, right?
I think
Because
you're
like
asking an informal fallacy. Are we debating for God or
well,
what?
I was trying to figure. Well, first, I was trying to figure out why do you think that God is the cause of the universe, and essentially your answer was through divine revelation, and so we're trying to figure out how can you ascertain that divine revelation? How do you know that it's accurate? How do you know that it is credible? Right, the divine revelation is coming from God, presumably. You say God can't lie. How do you know that? How do you know the source that's telling you that it created the universe is telling the truth? That's what I'm saying.
Because of God's self-disclosure of being ultimate.
All right. So okay. So
But let me go back to the
I
Son of
think
Sam thing.
go ahead, Facade.
The Son of Sam thing, and again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, and I'm genuinely not trying to like make you out like a crazy serial killer like Son of Sam, but Son of Sam, aka David Berkowitz, genuinely claimed that his neighbor's dog was some form of demonic or spiritual being that had special information that was being relayed to David Berkowitz. Okay, that information was to kill people. How do I know that that is not some form of deity that also never lies and that may have created the universe? Versus the special revelation that you get telling you that I created the universe and I don't lie. Because it seems to me you have a source of information that is specific to just you, that David Berkowitz also had a special to just him. How am I to determine if either of you are telling the truth? And if so, is it actual good information? And if you should follow it, because in the case of David Berkowitz, he was a serial killer. So you see what I'm saying?
As I've stated,
two special revelations from two probably indistinct individuals.
I think you had stated it because God is love, right?
yes.
All right. How do you know that what was going on with David Berkowitz wasn't some sort of transcendent version of love? And he was therefore telling the truth.
Yeah, I don't know, because God has somewhere in the Bible put himself in a donkey or something like that, spoken to people as a donkey. So that story of the dog, like I'll grant you it, but if he wants to verify my identity, then you can either reach out to God, obtain knowledge for you to read my thoughts and feelings, or you just have to believe me.
So Judeo, I reach out to God, right? And let's say I do get a message. How do I know that message is true, that you're God's favorite?
Or how do you know it's from God?
You would know it's from God, and God would communicate in such a way to make it known that
Sure,
he is
but
relate.
how would he know?
How would he? What do you mean?
How
know?
would I know? You're automatically granting that it comes from God. Sure, but we're actually asking you an epistemic question. How would I know that it's coming from God? For instance, if I wanted to communicate with Facade over the phone, there's a number of ways that I could verify that that is actually me. Right? He can recognize my voice. We've known each other for a long time. I could tell him things that only I would know. Right? So there's a bunch of different ways. What I'm asking is, so here's God. He's telling me something. How do I know that it's actually coming from God? How could he verify? How could he present that message in a way where I know that it's coming from God?
Because of his truthfulness. So if you reach out to him,
biblically, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. So all right, so let's assume that God is telling the truth all the time, never lies, period. Right? Now I am in a state of ignorance. Right? I have no idea if the voice that is communicating with me is actually from God. Right? Now, I can grant you God's ontology of being benevolent. Right? Now, how do I know that this voice that is speaking the truth, how do I know that it's actually truth? How do I know that it's coming from God?
personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly, revealingly presuppose onto-ethico-epistemological / biblical Judeo-Christianity. Thus, you're losing debate points.
Okay, I think you just word saladed a non-answer.
Yeah, you got to break that down for me, man.
Let me ask you a question.
Because
and I think I can really help speed this along. Do you believe that Satan, aka the devil or whatever, that's mentioned in the Bible is also a real entity? Do you think that is as much as an entity as God? The Satan, devil, the person cast out of heaven with a third of the angels in heaven, Lucifer, the son of the morning, that one, Isaiah, also mentioned much in Revelation, that guy. Do you think he's as real as the God of the Bible?
To me, your response is an informal fallacy, as you have philosophically
He's asking you a question. It's not a fallacy.
This can't be a fallacy. It's a yes or no question.
Informal
Do you believe
fallacy.
that the Satan
so you made a claim
is as real as the God of the Bible?
I'm
Yes
getting
or no?
constantly interrupted. You made a claim of word salad. So
Okay,
I
and
have
then I
to
said we're
defend,
gonna.
I'm allowed to
Let me
defend
try to clarify this
myself.
by giving you this example. So my
Constantly
question
getting
was just
interrupted. You made a claim of word salad.
okay.
So
I'm gonna shut up, and then can you please answer my question when you're done?
I have answered. So
Well, you didn't answer my question.
to
'Cause I
break
just asked
down
it.
what I
Yeah, Judeo. So like when I had asked, so how could I know that a message is coming from God? You used a bunch of different words. I didn't even understand exactly what you were saying. You said, I think you said epistemologically, biblically, blah blah blah, and some other stuff. And I'm trying to make sense of that. All right, so let's say
to me
so like, can I break it down? Like, let's say I'm God, and Facade wants to know something, and so I communicate that with him. How does Facade know that the message came from me?
I've just typed that out. I'm getting philosophically gish scalloped. So there's 4 points.
Okay, no, just focus on this one point for right now. Just focus on this one point, right? Or like, for this analogy, I'm God. Now I tell Facade a message. How does Facade know that that message came from me? What could I do to prove that the message came from me?
Personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly, revealingly presupposed onto ethico-epistemological / biblical Judeo-Christianity. Thus, you're losing debate points. The other interlocutor claimed that to be word salad.
I can't let you get
So-
away with
So to
this.
break that
So-
down,
Do you see in the bottom-
break it
hang
down,
on,
break it down.
Pause. Can you see in the bottom the little chat with everyone? Can you do me a favor and just
No.
type out what you just said?
yeah, I can copy and paste it to you.
Great.
I've
Can
got
you
a
just put it in
debate
the chat
script
or in
up.
the comments or both.
I have to put it in here. I don't know. You mean in the YouTube chat?
No, well, you can put it in the.
You
chat.
put it anywhere. Like, actually, put it in the YouTube chat. That'd be great, actually, because then like everybody can see it.
I haven't got it. How can I? Okay, here we go. Just a moment.
No, you said /. Personally, your
So to break-
informalization
yeah.
indirectly or directly revealingly presuppose onto ethico-epistemological / biblical Judeo-Christianity. Thus, you're losing debate points. Okay, I don't understand how that's an answer. Okay, all right. So check this out. Let's say I get a message I get a text message, right? And the person claims to be Facade, right? And I say, prove to me that you're Facade, right? Little background knowledge. Me and Facade have known each other since like kindergarten. There are so many things he could do to prove to me that it's actually him, right? Because we know a whole lot about each other. There's like inside jokes we can make, places we can reference, things that I know it would have to be only he would know, right? And so I could be like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. He could say like, oh, your nickname is this, your wedding was at this place, your favorite colors, blah blah blah, right? And I'm like, okay, I have a reasonable level of confidence that this message came from Facade. Now let's say that I get a text message and it's from God. What could God tell me, whereas I could know that is actually him and not somebody else that's just claiming to be God? That's what I'm asking.
So personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly, revealingly presuppose onto ethico-epistemological / biblical Judeo-Christianity. Thus, you're losing debate points.
Yeah, I read the message. You didn't answer the question in any way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna just move on past this because you're not answering the question.
And you made a claim at www.dictionary.com to give a response, a reply by act or motion. You may just not like the answer.
Okay, but you repeating the same thing over and over and not answering the question means that you
claimed it to be word salad. I'm confused. I thought I was debating one person. You claimed it to be word salad.
It is
So you
undoubtedly
can't
word
you
salad.
can't make that statement if you don't
Yes, I
understand
can.
what it means. So
I
to
know
break
what the
it
statement
down,
means. Will you
so
answer the question?
Yeah, break it
Because
down
you've
for
lost
me.
the debate. You want to talk about losing
I've
debate? Well,
answered the
you've lost the
question. I've
debate.
answered the question.
You didn't answer the question. You literally said, personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly revealing, presupposed,
That's an answer.
epistemological, biblical
Okay,
You may not like
Christianity,
the
so
thus you're
answer.
losing debate.
okay, Judeo. So like, is it's not that I don't like the answer. I honestly do not understand the answer.
Well, I can break it down.
Please do. Please.
So what that means is that your response, your questions about God presupposes him, despite you, I'm assuming, disagreeing that he exists.
How does the question presuppose God?
Because you're referencing his attributes.
What attributes are those?
His mindful, the absoluteness,
Okay, so
immaterialness.
all right, so if I ask a question about like how do I know a leprechaun sent me a message, would that question be presupposing the leprechaun's attributes?
Not necessarily a finite being in causal relations to God as ultimacy.
I don't
So
know if
to
that was a
identify,
I don't know if that was a complete sentence, Judeo. Like I'm not sure what you meant by that. So you said not
so what I
necessarily.
mean, yes, it was a complete sentence. So not necessarily, because you can claim ignorance to certain finite things, but in the case of God, you can't, given the category that he is in. And
So
to
Wait, I can't claim ignorance on God? You're saying, I'm guessing that you suppose everyone knows God then. God has revealed
to some
himself to
extent,
everyone.
yes, and your question recently was contradictory because you referenced God with the pronoun I, finitely in causal relations to God as non-finiteness.
how does the pronoun I presuppose God?
Also, it doesn't presuppose finiteness.
Yeah, like how does it? Let's suppose I don't want to like gish gallop. Just one question. Like how does the pronoun I? How does that presuppose God?
Because to identify finite things, you have to reference ultimacy as an
No,
authority.
no, I don't. Like why?
I think you just contradicted yourself with that question. You said no, I don't, but then asked the question. So
I'm asking why. Let me rephrase it. I don't see why I would have to reference something ultimate. Like a word is just it's a signal that's completely arbitrary, right? When I say I'm referring to this thing that I consider myself, right? I don't need anything ultimate. It's just an arbitrary signal that I'm using for that. We could change it. You could put any other sound there. And as long as we have a mutual understanding of what that sound would mean, we could talk intelligently about it. Like if instead of I said Mike, and Mike was reference to yourself. We could do that. We could say Mike went to the store, and that would mean I went to the store, right? So, like, I mean, it sounds like you're saying that language itself, like, presupposes God, and it's just arbitrary words that we use as signals.
the symbols can be arbitrary, but the meaning behind them is what comports with God. So we have to reference God to identify all facts / perfections, as truth is a perfection.
Okay, so are you saying like there could not be a reality without God?
No, because God is a necessary being. So we are in God's reality.
Why do you think God is necessary?
I think you asked a contradictory question because I know God is necessary
Okay,
definitionally.
all right. How do you know God is necessary? And what do you mean definitionally? Like, are you saying like God is by definition necessary?
Yes, God definitionally, revealingly exists.
All right. So if you're saying something exists, I'm sorry, I got a little feedback. Were you saying something, Judeo?
No,
Okay. All right. So if you're saying something exists, all right, you're making, you know, the difference between an analytic and a synthetic proposition, right?
analytic, I forgot what synthetic means.
A synthetic proposition means you're making a statement about the world, right? In order for a synthetic proposition to be true, it's dependent on the facts of reality. Analytic propositions are true by definition. For instance, like if I say a foot is 12 inches. Well, how do you know a foot is 12 inches? By definition, we define a foot as 12 inches, right? But now if I say that this phone is 12 inches, right? It's not definitionally true. It is only 12 inches if in fact that's what it's measured as. I'm making a fact about reality. That is a synthetic proposition, right? So if you're saying God exists, the proposition that God exists is only true if in fact there is a God that exists, right? So a synthetic proposition is based on the facts of reality. So you can't say that God is necessary by definition because you're making a synthetic proposition, right?
Personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly,
Judeo,
revealingly.
please don't read the whole thing again.
I'm
Like
done with it.
I'm asking.
Hey, bruh. Hey, I'm gonna define wizards as a prerequisite for God. So your God can't exist unless wizards existed before him. What's wrong with that definition?
Personally, your
If that's all
informalization,
you're gonna say, we're done with
indirect.
the conversation.
Judeo,
Because you're not making
okay.
a legitimate response. This conversation has not moved one iota, and you're genuinely not even like answering a question. So if that's all you want to do, then congratulations, you've wasted our time. If you want to have an actual conversation, you can open your mouth and you can answer a question, or we're done here. But if you keep repeating the same thing over and over, then you don't have a point. You're done. Your debate's over because I ask you a genuine question, you repeat the same answer. I ask you a different question, you go back to the same answer. I ask you a question about my definition of wizards, which you just used in your definition of God. And I ask you what the problem is because it's an obvious problem with the definition when you define something as necessarily contingent on something else without proving its existence. So if wizards are necessary for your God to exist, there is nothing wrong with my definition of that as long as your definition of God is the same. Otherwise, show me what's wrong with the definition of my definition of wizards by, in fact, pointing out that your undoubted definition of God is just blatantly incoherent and wrong. Because I can just say any word there and insert it as a precursor to your God. And if you repeat that saying again, I'm going to end the show right now.
So, Judeo, I just want to try to break down his point. What he's saying is, like you said, God is necessary by definition, right? Now he's saying wizards are by definition the prerequisite of God, right? So your God is necessary. That is true by definition. How do you know that what he's saying, the wizards existing, isn't true by definition?
Because a wizard would be finite.
Nope, my wizard is infinite.
No, it's infinite by definition.
By definition, it's infinite, and it's a prerequisite for your God's existence. In order for your God to exist, wizards have to exist, and they're infinite.
By definition.
By definition.
From my understanding, the name of God
this
is
isn't
not
your
wizard.
understanding anymore.
No. So, but he's not talking about God anymore. He's talking about the prerequisite of God, like the condition that is necessary for a God to exist is a wizard, right?
Yep.
And that is true by definition. So he's literally just mirroring your argument. So, like, do you understand that defining something in such a way does not mean that it has those properties or that it exists at all?
Otherwise,
Like,
my wizard
For
argument
me,
is perfect.
Like,
so this is a closed system. It's dichotomous. God and creation. A wizard would fall under creation.
Nope.
If you're
My wizard
assigning,
no.
is a precursor to your God.
The wizard is by definition uncreated, infinite, and the prerequisite for God.
that's contradictory because
No, it's not.
God, that would just be God. So
No.
you're possibly playing.
It's a
No.
prerequisite to God.
So no, it's not a word game. Like, so, okay, so I don't think you understand what we're doing. Like, it's just a mirroring of your argument. So, like, you can't define something in existence. Like, would you agree that just because I define something in such a way, that does not mean that that thing exists, right?
Personally, your informalization.
So
Stop.
Judeo, no, stop, please, no.
Stop. Just stop right now.
All right, okay, all right. So, like, let's say I define a snipe as a green fairy thing with horns that live in the woods, and that is by definition what a snipe is. You understand? That doesn't mean that that thing exists.
Personally, your
Okay,
informalization.
Judeo.
You've had your warnings.
Yeah.
Are you going
Judeo.
to answer a question on the show, or are you going to repeat the same thing over and over? Because I was under the impression when you messaged us on YouTube under your name and then lied about it and then said you wanted to come on and I called you out for being you in the comment section, that you wanted to come on and have an actual discussion. You didn't want to come on and repeat the same sentence 35 times instead of answering a simple question in a yes or no format. If you're unwilling to do so, then don't come on the show, because that's not a discussion. It's not a debate. It's you saying the same 25-ish words over and over again to nothingness. I'm a fan. I live in Japan and lives in AEO. Okay, get your shit out of here. I don't care. You literally have the exact same name. You have the same name in the email, and you only responded to that one I said something. Weird. You don't have to lie. I don't care. We're not releasing your name. We're not doxing you. We don't care. But if you want to have a genuine conversation, that's the reason we invited you on this show. Don't just sit here and say the same thing over and over again. Because if you ask me about how I think the universe came into being, and I just read out to you a sentence that I wrote 20 minutes ago, and that's all I ever answered, and you say, how do I know that? And I just read the same sentence, we're not having a conversation. You're talking to a robot stuck in a loop. So if you're willing to have a conversation, which I'm begging you for, then let's please have a conversation. If you're unwilling to do so, and you're only willing to say that anytime that we push you on anything at all, you're just going to repeat the same thing over and over again, then let's hang up the call, because this is an undoubted worthless waste of time, because the only thing that you're going to say is that, and the only thing we're going to get is frustrated. So are you willing to actually answer questions, or are you going to repeat that saying over and over again? Because what you say next is going to determine how this call goes in about 30 seconds.
Firstly,
Done. You're
all
done.
slander at
Last
me.
words. What do you want to say? Say whatever you want to say to the audience. That's it.
Hold on.
You're done.
Firstly,
I wanna-
all
hold on.
slander
Judeo-
at me.
You're done, dude.
Hold on.
You're done.
Hey, guys, like, honestly, man. Hey, Judeo, look, like, the kind of platform we want, like, we want them to have, like, intellectual conversations, and, like, you're killing me, because we're genuinely just asking you a question, man, and you give us this nonsense. Like you give us the same question, man, and I mean the same answer, and it's not interesting. It's not fun. You know, it's very frustrating.
Like lied to us in comment sections and lied to us in an email. I'm done with you. I have no reason to believe anything you say. I have no reason to listen to anything you're about to say because I can just read it. It's up on the screen. If you want to see his viewpoint, viewers, just read the screen. It's been there for the past 40 minutes.
I have a question.
I don't need to know what you're going to say. I have your answer. I can play you right now. Watch this. I'm now a YouTuber. Okay, go ahead. Ask me a question. Personally, your information directly. Yeah. Okay, you see how it works?
So firstly,
indirectly or directly revealing presupposed onto-ethico-epistemological biblical Judeo-Christianity. Therefore, you're losing debate points. Next question.
I'm bringing up a new point.
Personally, your information indirectly or directly revealing
let's just give him like one more chance. He says he's bringing up a new point. All right.
Answer my questions or just be done with this.
Firstly, all slander at me is theologically contradictory since I'm an ultimated Judeo-Christian.
You must prove your God exists before you can say that as a statement. I'm not going to let you get by with anything. Congratulations. That's where we're at in this conversation.
How about, okay, let's just try to shift gears here. Now, you said like at the beginning, you said you God's favorite kin. What does that mean? Does that come with special privileges? You said God is touching the left side of your face. Like, is there anything else that happens?
You literally use the same account, by the way, in the comment section to say that you're God's favorite kin and the person that's not you, that's just a fan. So either he also thinks he's the blessed favorite kin of God, or it's the same person and you lied to us again in the live chat.
So I'm not in the live chat. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right, fine. He's not. He says he's not in the live chat. So, like, is there? What does it mean to be God's favorite kin?
Personally, your informalization, indirectly or directly, revealingly presupposed.
You're done,
bro. You're done. I don't even know what to do, man.
Yeah, you're done. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wrap up the show.
You just trolled us, bro.
I'm not. You asked me to introduce myself. That wasn't my argument.
I wasn't asking you to introduce yourself. I was asking. You said you're
one more time, and I swear upon, I would rather lose my left leg than listen to that thing again. I'm gonna ask you a yes or no question. If you answer with anything other than yes or no, then I'm done with the call. Okay. Because you've done nothing but waste our time and troll. Do you know that the devil, a.k.a. Satan, a.k.a. Beelzebub, whatever you want to call him, of the Bible, is as real as the God of the Bible? Yes or no?
And hey, 1 second. Please don't tell us what the fallacy is if we're committing one. We're just asking you that question.
Firstly, all slander at me is theologically contradictory since I'm an ultimated.
Please stop talking. I usually give guests last word of the show. You have had your words up on the show, so I know what you're going to say at the end of it. Congratulations, they're up on the screen already. I usually tell people to go check out their channel and go listen to them, but you don't have to. You can just read our channel because it's up on the screen. I genuinely have tried to have intellectual conversation with you. I have genuinely been way more patient than I should have been with you. You are unwilling to answer questions. There is a reason you are banned from every major podcast and every major live call-in show, because you refuse to answer basic general questions, and then you try to toss word salad out like you've done some magical thing. I'm going to tell you one thing for sure, buddy. You're not convincing anyone that your God is real by stating what's up on the screen right now. That's not going to happen, ever. I don't know where you got the idea that you're God's favorite, but God's never said anything like that to me, and if he ever does, I'm going to argue with him too. And if he says the same thing you say, congratulations, you and God can be on the same side, but you're not winning this. because you're done. You don't know how to have an actual conversation. That's not what this show is for. That's not what this debate was for. That's not what we agreed to when we invited you on the show. When we talked to you, we wanted to talk to you about something specific. We wanted to have a back and forth. We wanted to have a debate or even a basic discussion, not necessarily even a debate. And we cannot do so. Because when we ask even the most basic yes or no questions, you go back to a canned response that means absolutely nothing. You want to talk about losing debate points? Talk about getting the hell off topic. You haven't talked or touched to any points that we've said. You haven't responded appropriately. You're either a bot or a troll, and in either case, the debate was over once you repeated yourself for the third time. The judges would have tossed you off the stage. I'm not giving you the last word of the show because you don't deserve it. It's up on the screen. If I want your opinion, all I have to do is read it. Do you want to say goodbye? Do you want to say goodbye? Because the call is over. You can wave goodbye to the fans. You can say goodbye. But that's it. That's your chance. Tell people where to go. Good luck. Go ahead. The call's over. Tell people where you want to go.
Firstly, all slander at me is
You're
theologically
done. You're
contradictory.
done, buddy. You're done.
Since I'm an ultimate.